Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Football Fix. I am Richard from the Dipsy Dudes, and I'm going to be honest with you, this is the second intro I've had to write because originally I wrote an intro about how scarce points were and there aren't many high points coming out of that last midweek game week because I was just looking at my team. Because seriously, Tuesday night I had 10 points and I'm like, oh my god, what kind of week are we going to be in for here? Wednesday comes along and everyone got big points, it seems, except me. I've had an absolute mare this week. I'm going to blame it on the fact that I am dosed up on as much non-prescription cold medicine, capsules, paracetamol that I could get my hands on, which is going to make this week's show really interesting. Because we are short of time, because there's only this short window between game weeks, we're going to go forego the Dream Team and we're going to dive straight into the Game 15 players for your consideration. One of the interesting things to come out from the midweek games was Villa getting their first win since mid-September with Christian Benteke grabbing the only goal, and it's got me to thinking, is it time to dabble in Villa players again? Those with great memories will remember the first 4 weeks of the season when they got 3 clean sheets in 4 games. They won at Anfield. Hey, great start. But then it all went to tits. Soppy tits. Now they're back to being undefeated in 4, and they're home to the bottom club Leicester next game, followed by an away trip to West Brom in game week 16. Now currently their most informed players are Sissoko in defence and Guzan with 5 points form. Other than that, no one is above 3.5 in form, but I fancy Benteke to do something. It's a gut feeling because I tell you what, the stats do not say otherwise. 1 goal in 5 appearances, a shots per goal ratio of 2.6 from a team that don't create many chances. They average less than 2.5 shots on target per game, and they don't boss possession. What is their strength? It's all about the counter-attack. But I got this feeling about Benteke. I think he's gotta play for a move now, otherwise it's not gonna happen for another 18 months to 2 years. He should have gone to the World Cup and he should have put himself in the shop window then to get a big money move, and I think that's what's going to keep him going. He's good in the air and Villa like coming from the left flank, so that's got to be a bonus. I'd say he's a gamble though. He might prove to be quids in. The thing is, he is a little dear. You're talking 7.9 million, so he is risky, but I think if he's desperate for a move, as I think he could be, he might be worth getting on, so look out for Benteke. Plus, I bought him in FIFA 15 on my career mode, and he's doing great for me, so that's got to count for something, right? Another team to possibly wonder about getting behind is QPR, as long as they are playing at home, which they are this game weekend against Burnley. That's right, it's Austin versus Ings, 1-on-1 this weekend. Austin is 6 million and is one of the ultimate fantasy football bargains of the season, scoring 7 goals and getting 3 assists. He's got 5 of those goals and 1 of those assists at home, so he's more of a home bunny rather than a country hare, if you will. However, Ings is actually in better fantasy football form, 6.8 as opposed to Austin's 5.2, and Ings does his best work on the road, getting a goal every other game in away games. At home he's actually, well, bang average, I would say. He's also 0.3 million cheaper if you need to balance your books. If you're looking at it longer term though, QPR are away to Everton in game week 16 and Burnley host Southampton, so maybe that's enough to sway you either way, whether it's going to be Austin or Ings. You know who's one of my favourite players? Eriksen at Spurs. He's valued at 7.9 million. His current form stands at 6, which makes him one of the most must-have players in the game right now. That's why over 57,000 people transferred him into their side as of late. And the next few games see Spurs host Palace, who don't travel well. They take a trip to the Gower to take on Swansea, which is tougher, I'll be honest with you. Then they kick off their Christmas fixtures against Leicester, and you can look at a player like this, so talented, with those fixtures coming up, and you think he can feast in those games. Maybe it's time to get on him. He averages a goal every 3 shots. He's got over 83% possession, which I would personally like to see translated to more assists. It's his most disappointing stat. He's only had, 1 assist this season, which is not enough for me. I'd like to see a lot more. Now granted, Spurs in weekend went back to their current form as they turned up like hands open Charlies at Chelsea and went, "Oh please sir, don't hurt us too much, will you? Oh please sir." Chelsea basically turned them over and ended up powdering their bottoms a little bit. But, you know, with the fixtures that are coming up, they're at home. Eriksen's class. I'd say he can rectify his assists in the next couple of games. He's going to keep on in the form, so I'd say might be time to get on Eriksen. Get off Chadley, defo. Fabregas or Hazard? Hazard or Fabregas? Who do you choose? Chelsea are going to get you points regardless. And these are 2 absolute points machines. But who do you choose? Do you double down on them both even? You'd need just over 20 million in the bank to be able to do that, so it's quite tough to be able to budget for it. Let's look at the pros and cons. Hazard gets more goals. That's good. But Fabregas gets many more assists, which is also very, very good. Form-wise, it's close, a little bit too close to call for my liking. When I say that, I've had Fabregas in my team since the beginning of the season, so if I'm talking about making a call personally, I made my call at Fabregas at the start of the season. But you know what I mean. Right now, it's tough to call, though Hazard's just come off a great goal-scoring game in that Spurs game that we talked about just now. With Di Maria getting injured and his form slowing down as of late, maybe it is time to double down on the Chelsea midfield and go both Fabregas and Hazard, or Fabard, as has been quoted on one of the discussion forums on fiso.co.uk. Props in the description and down below. I must be honest, I'm not a huge fan of having 2 players from the same club in the same position. I like a bit of variety. In theory, I like a bit of variety because you're kind of basing it all on one team. Especially don't like it in defence, though I have had a Southampton defender and goalkeeper, so look at me, I'm a huge hypocrite. The thing to remember is points win leagues, and if having these 2 players in your team gets you points, then maybe it's time to lump on. Though with Christmas coming, you've got to watch out for the squad rotations, especially at Chelsea. Sergio Aguero became the first player in the game this season to score over 100 points, and with City taking on Everton, Leicester and Palace in the next 3 game weeks, I think it's time to find the money to get him in. But where do you find the money? We're already looking at going big money on the Chelsea midfield. Where can you lose some money? Danny Welbeck. Welbeck was that close. A squirrel's groin hair away from being dumped out of my team last week. And I tell you what, over 280,000 have dropped him in the last 3 weeks before last weekend. But he stayed in and he grabbed a goal. But when you're trying to balance your budget and you're trying to get one or more of the likes of Aguero, Hazard, Fabregas or Sanchez in your team, Welbeck at 7.2 million is an easy player to drop. For two players we spoke about earlier, someone like Danny Ings or Charlie Austin. It's a really easy transfer to make. It is a really easy way to free up some money. You put those two Englishmen in there, you have Aguero, and then you flood the midfield. For Welbeck, his assists have been saving him as of late from being an absolute complete flop. But if I gotta be honest, if I got a striker and the best thing about him is his assist record, then that's not great. Awesome assists from a striker should be a bonus, not a necessity. I'd say he's on super thin ice at the moment. That goal last week has kept him just about. He didn't do much in midweek either. Didn't do much. So he is on thin ice, and with the festive period coming, he's especially on thin ice. The Dipsy Dudes Divisional Championship. There's a new team at the top with messing around taking top spot with a huge 85-point haul thanks to Aguero as captain and 3 big midfield scorers. Latchford again must have thought it was their week when they finally overhauled Rentawag, but still find themselves in second with some familiar players in attack, but a defence that let them down and cost them going top. Finally, Rentawag tumbles down to third after going to Sigurdsson as captain and Aguero as vice-captain. Huge mistake. One thing is for sure is that things have closed up at the top with 11 managers over the 800-point mark as we race towards the first 1,000-point manager of the season.